Today I'll be talking about why blank verse is an especially supple form of metrical expression. You might not agree that it is, in which case you would be wrong, or possibly might not even know what I mean by this. The first factor we will consider is blankness itself. Blank versus blank because it is unrhymed. Among the functions of rhyme is to mark line endings. So blank verse is verse without strongly marked line endings. If we compare it to another iambic form, the heroic couplet, we'll find that in rhymed couplets, enjambment is much less frequent than in blank verse. The second factor we'll talk about is asymmetry. Symmetry, as we know, is a basic feature of aesthetic perception. My face is symmetrical. My two hands are mirror images of each other. A leaf, if you look at it, is also going to be symmetrical in many cases. But the line of blank verse is not symmetrical. It is a line of iambic pentameter. Penta, as we know, is a prefix meaning 5. And 5 is an odd number. So typically the lines will not be able to be divided up into equal parts. For example, let's take the most metrically regular possible line of iambic pentameter from one of Shakespeare's sonnets. Of hand, of foot, of lip, of eye, of brow. The way I would naturally divide up the line is to take the first 2 feet and then the last 3. So of hand, of foot, of lip, of eye, of brow. That's a very common division. The line can be divided other places too. This leads to the third factor, which is variability. Lines of iambic pentameter are very different from one another. This creates a certain difficulty because this variability makes the meter harder to understand as a regular meter. But it's very easy to see that lines are very different from each other. Let's take the opening from that chorus of Henry V. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. I think we'd hear the variability here that and monarchs to behold the swelling scene does not sound exactly like oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend. The last factor I will talk about is variability in the placement of pauses. A pause can be placed at the end of the line, but we could also have enjambment, defined as a lack of prominent pause at the end of a line, marked by a mark of punctuation. We can also have strong pauses in the middle of lines. So essentially what we are doing is combining and breaking up lines to create the miracle of the verse paragraph. What the verse paragraph does is to take individual lines of iambic pentameter and create a metrical structure of much greater complexity and suppleness.